be seated. Good morning, everyone. For those who know me, it's generally agreed upon by many that my natural habitat is seated behind my desk with my crazy heavy pencil case and Starbucks water bottle, where I can be spotted crazily working away at my never-ending to-do list of responsibilities and assignments. On the rare occasion when I'm not working, however, you can almost always find me carrying around that pink Jansport backpack just in case the opportunity to become productive presents itself. I will also always have my planner on me. Yes, I'm that type of person, so that I can make sure I can get everything that I need to done in a day. I view my life as a never-ending to-do list and find an extreme sense of satisfaction whenever I am able to check off one of those items, no matter how big or small, from my list. Usually this mindset helps me to stay organized, motivated, and successful through even the busiest times. However, over the summer, as the tasks that I added to my to-do list became more time-consuming, harder, and arguably more important, I began to polarize my mindset towards the workaholic extreme in an attempt to finish and perfect all of my uncompleted tasks. On the first day of summer break 2018, just after completing the most demanding but also rewarding grade 11 year, I sat down to plan out the coming months of my life. My plan, jotted neatly down in my trusty planner, included a week of downtime, and then using all of the time that I had available in July and August to complete my advanced function summer course, math tutoring, researching and visiting universities, completing the assigned summer reading, studying for my SAT, preparing for the 2018 Round Square International Conference, completing part of my AP Biology course, studying for subject tests, brainstorming optimati speeches, and writing university essays. Needless to say, I rarely saw any of my friends and hardly ever left my house. Unless it was for a Round Square meeting, of course, though, because the square always comes first. I didn't feel as though I had a summer break. However, I was okay with that because I thought I was sacrificing my summer for a greater cause. I thought if I could utilize all hours of the day for 2 months, then I could get everything that I needed to done on my to-do list and make the start of my grade 12 year that much easier. Looking back now, I can start to see how crazy this plan sounded and why all my friends and family were warning me that if I didn't slow down, I may burn out. I thought that if I wanted it enough, if I worked hard enough, that I could achieve it and that all my sacrifice would be worth it. Because I thought the idea of burning out was simply a state of mind. I'd become so wrapped up in checking off all those boxes on my to-do list that I forgot to include any enjoyment in my summer, and even began to view any leisurely activities as non-essential, a waste of valuable time, and something that would get in the way from achieving a high SAT score or finishing those university essays. I had pushed myself so hard through the summer that I was already exhausted and in need of a mental break by the time grade 12 had started. I was frustrated with all the work I had to do before the real work had even begun. And as a result, my first couple months in boarding was not at all the sleepover fantasy that I had anticipated it would be. At all times of the day, all I could think about was how much work I had to do and how much time I needed to do it all. I literally became a slave to my schedule. I would stay up late hours into the night, get up early in the morning, work through lunches, and never give myself any downtime, simply so that I could check off at least one more item from that never-ending list. But even though I was checking off more boxes, I no longer felt that sense of satisfaction. Instead, it seemed as though every time I finished one project, 3 more were simply added to my list. While the intent of this workaholic mindset was to simply increase my rate of task completion, in reality, I only ended up hurting my own personal health and actually degrading my abilities to be productive. I didn't realize the impact my study habits were having on my life and the lives of those surrounding me until some of my closest friends began to struggle with personal problems, and I wasn't able to help them. My work had taken me away from my friends at a time when they had needed my support the most. And standing on the sidelines, watching them fight this battle, tore me apart. It took these extreme circumstances for me to finally be able to lift the veil that had fallen over my perception of my study habits and see my workaholic mindset for what it truly was: extremely unbalanced and unfairly cruel. When I first applied to Appleby, I didn't want to attend this school because it had the nicest libraries, or offered the most AP exams, or even the most rigorous courses. I chose Appleby because of its vibrant, supportive, and truly incredible school community. However, by observing my intense study schedule and demanding to-do list, I not only shut myself out from the best part of the Appleby experience, but also began to hurt my relationships with the people that I loved the most. What I realized is that when you get too caught up in your own bubble of due dates and test marks, you distance yourself from what is truly important in life. Working and studying is not the most essential aspect to a happy life, as much as I had tried to convince myself it was. Because to put it simply, you truly cannot be productive or your best self if you are unhealthy. That means if you're not getting enough sleep, if you are not eating proper meals, if you're dealing with too much stress, and especially if you are not respecting your mental health and personal boundaries. I urge you all to work hard to achieve your goals. Just don't make the same mistake I did and force yourself to follow unreasonable expectations. A recent study conducted by a Harvard professor, Sean Acker, discovered that first-year Harvard students who studied hard but also made time to spend time with friends and attend social gatherings actually scored significantly higher on their final exams than the students who shut themselves away from their rooms and forced themselves to study 24/7. I can actually personally attest to the advantages associated with living a balanced lifestyle because I achieved my highest SAT score when I wrote it one day after the Round Square International Conference. Yeah, I wasn't able to crazily study right up to the day before the test like I had the others, because I was making the most out of my incredible conference experience and recognized with the situation that I was in, the best thing I could do for myself was simply live in the moment. I used to believe that I was too busy to take a study break, that giving myself time off was a sign of weakness, or that I was truly not about the grind if I wasn't working 24/7. The sad part for me now that I've realized how horribly wrong I was is how often I've noticed this mindset in many other Appleby students. You don't have to take a whole week off school for an international conference like I did to find balance. There are other really easy and quick opportunities you can take every single day to help sustain your mental health. For example, I purchased a little notebook in which I will write down all the funny moments that happened to me in a day. And I take this notebook out and read through it whenever I'm fatigued, stressed, or just in general need of a pick-me-up. Other times, I'll take 10 to 20 minutes out of my day just to talk to my friends about whatever crazy event had happened to me because I love to tell stories. Did I ever tell you about the time I went to South Africa? Well, the method of finding balance will be different for everyone. It is still crucial that you put in the time to determine what it is that works for you. If you decide that study breaks are for the weak and that you're just going to grind it all through until you're done, you will eventually tire out of your work habits just like I did. And despite your best intentions, you will likely to continue to actually become less and less productive the harder that you choose to push yourself. Another reason why it's important to learn to incorporate balance into your life is because of its amazing ability to grow the skill of adaptability, which is applicable in so many other scenarios. Even recently, the ability to take a step back and reevaluate a situation helped bail me out of almost a disastrous mistake. Earlier this year, I booked to write my SAT at the wrong testing center. Now, when I say wrong testing center, I do not mean that I registered to write at King's Collegiate instead of Appleby. No. I accidentally selected to write my last and most important SAT test at Desert Mountain High School in Scottsdale, Arizona. And for those that don't know, Arizona is located in the southwestern region of the United States. A flight, depending on when I left school on Friday, that would be between 7 to 28 hours. Thankfully, I was able to get my test moved to Buffalo. But in the moment, when I initially had realized my mistake, to say I was freaking out would be a huge understatement. However, I was able to take a step back from my crazy and slightly horrifying situation, reevaluate my change in circumstances, and devise a plan of action that consisted of my mom and myself booking 2 WestJet tickets to take that plane ride down to write Arizona so that I could write that darn SAT test. If I hadn't taken 15 minutes out of my crazy study schedule to talk to my mom about my SAT and check my ticket, I wouldn't have realized my mistake until it was far too late. Yes, working hard and achieving success is crucial. And yes, there will be times when you can't take as many breaks as you need because you're suffering through another one of Applebee's infamous hell weeks. Trust me, I've been there. However, the constant grind cannot become routine, because that's when you do harm to both your mental and physical health, but also curtail your own sense of happiness. As you move up and through university and into the real world, as so I'm told, it gets harder. The stakes of failure become more extreme, because the to-do list is no longer just a set of tasks or assignments that you have to complete by a certain date, but instead, a ways to make ends meet so that you can support yourself and make a living. So I urge you all to practice following a balanced lifestyle now, because as much as it may seem like it's the end of the world, it's only high school. If you have multiple pathways to the same goal, and if one of them doesn't work out, simply reevaluate and begin down plan B to your success. Taking time for yourself is important. And if you don't believe me, then listen to my infamous predecessor, David Gow, who once believed that one should never eat dinner in their room to choose to study over eating dinner in the dining hall and missing out on an important time to spend with friends. Despite my newly founded appreciation for downtime, I still find it hard to get myself to stop working, even when I recognize that I should be taking a breather, because it is so easy to get wrapped up in the commotion and stress of that tester project that just has to be done by 12:59 tonight. And while often the sacrifices that you make to achieve success are worth it, you have to be careful not to get yourself trapped in a bad habit of constantly pushing yourself past your limits. I want to challenge you all to think about your work habits in a different way. If every Appleby student decided to let their work consume them, like I and many others do, then the Appleby community would become one of fatigue, stress, and isolation. That is not the school that I or we applied to attend, nor is it the place that we would want to call our second home. My hope, if nothing else, from my speech today is that you can all walk away with a better appreciation for how fundamentally important that it is for you to live a balanced life. If you work insanely hard at your schoolwork, and also find time for yourself, you will not only achieve incredible success, but along the way, will have obtained an incredible Applebee career that you can remember and cherish forever. Now, can you please all rise and sing hymn 423?